Jumping in here to let you all know that my commissions are open, so if you want an angel kill illustration, now is your chance. We can dominate the world with these silly, stupid chibis. Now, let's get back into the video. Hi, hello, how are you? In this video, we'll be redrawing the same girl that we draw every year, right? I'm pretty sure I mentioned that before, no idea. So the thing is, I want to make this quick, right? As you saw in the last video, we drew this. I want to draw the same girl I draw every year, and as you may know if you watch me consistently, I always mention that I start with a sketch in my sketchbook and I don't show you that process. I decided to show you the process of that. We will be using this page that you saw me use last time because there's still space here and I don't like wasting space. There are two different ways that I usually draw her. One is sideways, like a 3/4 view angle. I don't even know what to call it. Right here, and then like the hair going around, right? But last year, I actually drew her from the front, and I really like that. And I've been thinking of going back to it. So I think that I still want to do the front view because, look, I drew her in 3/4 views for years. Years! I don't remember what she looks like. At the beginning when I made her, I remember like back in the day, which was 2017, I think. She was supposed to be a geometral. She was supposed to be like a general from the geometral planet, like their actual planet sent down to Earth to like go after Zachary. That was what she was made for, but then I just sort of abandoned that idea, threw that straight out of the window, and just went on to drawing her each year, and that's what she is used for. Now, I really like the very calm expression that she had last year, so I will try and replicate that. Not in this is just a sketch to see how I feel. But I really liked that gentle, calm, and collected expression. I know that I really want to push her shape a little bit more. What if I like push an arm up? Pushing an arm up in comparison to the other one is cool. Now here is what I don't really know. I think that I want to include spirals. That's what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to give it a more fantasy look and whole fantasy feel. So I think that spirals are the way to go in this case for that, because that's what I usually do for spirals. I mean, that's what I use spirals for, to give a fantasy feel. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in a video where I draw the Chiryu story, sort of. I like this. I don't like this bottom part. I could work more on this bottom part. What do I want this shape to be? Sort of something like this, I think. I'm liking this, so let's get into the digital one now, which is the actual drawing. So I want to get a few things out of the way first before starting this whole ordeal here. If you want to hear me talk about the other years, the previous ones, in my 2024 video I do talk about each year and what happened to the 2021 one, why it's so ugly. I have a whole playlist for the Geometria redraw, I think from 22 onward, which is only a time lapse. That was before I even did these voiceovers. But in this year, I will talk about one specifically, which is the 2018 one. If you watched my folder series where I show you my old drawing from 2016 all the way to nowadays, you will have seen the full version of it. The 2017 one and the 2018 one. And I mentioned there that the 2018 one is heavily referenced, basically copied from an artist, but at the time I didn't remember who it was. And I actually found the artist by accident a few days ago. The artist's name is Huion. I'm glad to finally be able to credit them. I thought I would have lost their name forever. So, before you make any comments about anything, watch the entire video before that, or I will come and find you. So, I'll first be focusing on the shape of the character. I feel like this past while I've been really into shape language and heavily focusing on that and improving it bit by bit. And overall, I just want to give her a more memorable shape, a silhouette, and for a more fancy look that I achieved last year with the colors, I decided that this year I would give her some other stuff to give that feeling, like spirals. At some point, I want to make a character inspired by spirals, solely spirals, like another character, not this girl over here, not her. As you can see from her initial silhouette, I made it a lot clearer now. Thinner and long on top and big and heavier on the bottom with spirals falling all around it. I also gave the hair some harsher, more square-shaped points here and there to add that geometric feeling that the geometrals have. That is where the name comes from, yes. A lot of her design is inspired and based on shapes like squares, rectangles, triangles, circles. It all follows her. It only really has been 4 months since the last one that I made back in, 2025, but I want to move from making these from August to making them in January, since I feel like it makes more sense. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, I must have at some point. To me, it makes more sense doing these either at the beginning of the year or the actual ending, and I decided to do these at the beginning. So not much will have changed probably, but some things did change. Like, some things you can see that are different from this year and last year's, obviously. There were things that I wanted to focus on that I kept in mind while I was going through it, which was shape language, clean it up a bit more, not over glitter it this time, keep her softness while also showing sharper angles. Make the cubes on her head more visible this time around because I feel like I lost that a bit last year, so And last year I was utterly obsessed with these glitter brushes by Draneria. I know, I overdid it. I know that, okay? I know, I can see it. I know it, okay? I can see it with my own eyes. I still love them with all my being, but when I get obsessed with something, I can get a bit excessive with it, and I need to hold myself back a little bit, okay? And that's why I wanted to clean it up a bit more. Like, I love a good messy art style, but it still has to be comprehensible and come across with its elements. So I tried going for that more. Clean it up a bit, sure, still keep that, that messiness that I usually like in my drawings, but just a little bit, just a tiny bit. I love the spirals as well, it makes it very fancy-like. Together with the colors. I really like the base colors for her, like I love these. For her I always use an analogous color scheme, which means that it's the 3 colors beside each other on the color wheel. In her case, pink, purple, and blue, which also is that usual magical fancy color scheme. Just the usual that every single artist uses ever. I use that as well. There's nothing wrong with that. I do later on add more hair strands so that the silhouette doesn't look so shapely and looks a little bit more natural, just so that you can distinguish, oh, this is hair, It gives that vibe. And it also looks a little bit more, okay. It doesn't look just straight up shapely. Honestly, this year it was so easy to make it to the point that it scared me. It scared me so much that I actually took a few breaks in between each thing to see if maybe I wasn't forgetting something important, but I wasn't. It was just scary. Because you already know my process, right? Multiply a layer, cut out where the light hits, with the lasso tool, clean that up a bit, overlay to intensify the lighting, add backlighting, overlay to intensify the colors a little bit, despite liking the base colors a lot more. Then overpaint to intensify those areas, add textures like dots, fabric texture, hair texture, sparkle texture, whatever texture, just textures, just to give that illusion of detail. And actually add some details like your earrings, fix that up, make it more shiny. The jewel on her chest, make that shiny as well, same thing. The cubes on her head, shiny, same thing. It's the usual process, right? But I was just so into it. It was so easy. It just came to me so easily that it just felt wrong. Like, why do I know how to draw? Why do I know how to draw? That doesn't make any sense. It's like I've been doing this my whole life, which I have. That's why. But I guess it was okay. I didn't have to spend an eternity on it. A thing that also helped me get this fast, I feel like, was in October of last year, where I really started cutting corners and really understanding what elements and what details mattered more so than losing time on little things that didn't matter. So I guess that I got better with that, so thanks in October, I guess. I think I've slowly been changing and coming back to over the years, which I've noticed here of these, is the eye rendering. Years ago, I detailed the eyes a lot and really intensified them, which I liked a lot and still do in certain situations. Then I started simplifying that and I'm slowly coming back to it, but instead of adding line art in there, in the eye, I just render the interior with overpainting directly instead of like adding line art and base colors and then shading and overlay. I just do it all straight up, just boom, boom, boom there. Don't take that out of context. Then I add a bit of chromatic aberration and noise at the top, usual process thing, right? Also, I have to say, if you don't know why I add noise texture to my illustrations, which I'm pretty sure I've explained before multiple times, but I'll explain again despite having over 100 videos on this channel. First, I like that grainy look vintage cameras have, like film cameras and digicams. I like giving that impression. Second, it helps against art theft. If anyone tries to cover up my signature, it looks unnatural because trying to color pick and paint over it doesn't give that same effect that the noise has. And it looks completely off and covered up. And even if they added the noise texture on top of that, it wouldn't line up directly, so it would still look off. Okay? That is why I add noise. If someone commissions me, I will give that person the commission without the noise texture, because it doesn't make sense to give them that. Thankfully, up until now, I didn't have to deal with any art theft, but I'll be coming for you if you try anything funny, okay? Okay, so I tried toning down the blush intensity a bit from last year's too. I still have that ultra blush look because in my head it looks surreal and cute. But this time in a more natural way, because last year it was something. I also like how over the years I've started drawing lips. I love the composable lip look, but I feel like this year's is very subtle. You can like another year's more than this one, okay? I still am very endeared to every single one from each year, and I can clearly remember my process for each one, and where I was, and what was happening, and what was going on around me. I can remember vividly when I was drawing each one, okay? I still like, skill-wise, a few of these too. It's not just the memories that I have attached to them. The ultra-rendered look I had in 2022, with that ultra-detailed hair, ultra-detailed absolutely everything. I used to detail everything a lot and just paint and put details in it and take my time with each drawing. I like how cute and lively the 2023 one is. It just has lots of movement, it's very just alive and cute and squishy. And I like it despite all of the horrors 2023 held for me. I like how clean and sharp the 2024 looks and how it looks like an actual cartoon, like it makes part of a show, like it got taken out from that and put in here. I like how soft and sparkly and magical last year's drawing is, and just that expression she has and how soft that lighting hits her face. But I do think that I achieved exactly what I set out to do this year. I gave her a memorable shape, I gave her a magical fancy feeling, I shaded and rendered her the way I have been for the past few months, which has changed a little bit. Not so much so from the other years, it's like a mix of everything that I've been trying over the few years, which makes sense, right? That's how illustration and just learning drawing in general works. You just experiment and stick with things that stick with you because you like those stuff, and just mix and match them. And despite it being only 4 months, a good amount has changed in my illustration process when I see these side by side. I don't know, I can recognize that it's her, but also I can see things that are different. There are a lot of differences between all of these, like in general, from the 2017 one all the way to this year's. But I can also see that it was me who made each and how much my art style has evolved. And I mean that evolved, it's still the same art style, despite all the changes, and I can clearly notice that. I still draw in the same way, like the way I process my process for illustration. I still have that same idea. I know what I do when I draw eyes, and it's the same way that I used to do it back in the day. And how I choose shapes, and how I choose how the movement works, and how the bones and anatomy work. And despite me having gotten better with that and having learned more skills in that sort of way, I still do things in that same way, and that's interesting. But yeah, I am overall happy. Now you all can go judge me and do whatever you want, and I don't even know. Be happy, I guess. Happy New Year's, I don't know. I have to do a few more videos still. I have a lot in mind, okay? I think I mentioned that last video. I have a lot of things that I want to get to, and hopefully I can get to them soon. Hopefully. So yeah. At some point you will see the finished result here. I do add a few textures here and there to the background, just to add some interest. I didn't do the background as heavily detailed as last year's, because last year's was very sparkly. This year I just added a few textures here and there and let the focus more so fall on the character in itself. I also like how I detailed the spirals, like the loose strands. I like adding those here and there. A lot of times I don't do that because I draw very fast. I like drawing fast, okay? That is something that I like to do. I can't spend an eternity on one single drawing because I get tired too easily and then I abandon stuff. So here is the finished result of this year's Geometry Redraw of 2026. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had fun with me babbling and seeing the traditional process as well. That's a cool thing that I've added this time around. Hope you have a nice day and night, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!